welcome to Anu's classroom. Again, we are continuing with our strategic management series, and in this video, we are going to learn about corporate level strategy. By the time we are done with this video, I hope to introduce you to the concept of corporate level strategy, which deals with the concept of strategy at corporate level. And it also will also be explaining the different types of growth strategies which are what you can say undertaken at the corporate level. We will be focusing or we will be stressing most on the different types of these expansion strategies and the rationale for implementing these strategies. So through this course or through this particular video especially, I would want to introduce you to or acquaint you with the concepts of corporate strategy, the scope and nature of such corporate strategies, and the different types of corporate strategies like stability strategy, expansion, diversification, and retrenchment strategies. We will familiarize with these various generic corporate strategies, and also we will understand the various what you can say concepts and techniques in these strategies. So without wasting much time, let's get started. Before we go into this corporate level strategy, let us quickly recap what all things we have learned so far. So we have resources, that is what we have, okay, and we create strategy in order to achieve goals, right? That is what we seek, and from where we are or to where we want to be, or uh, where we want where we what it is that we seek, we in order to bridge that gap we create the strategy. And definitely that strategy has to do with not just the internal environment but also the external environment in order to make us achieve whatever it is the goals we have or the objectives that we want. So strategy can be divided broadly into three levels, that is the functional strategy, the business level strategy which is specific to business units, and operational or rather let's say the corporate level strategies. So at the functional level, we generally go for functional strategies. At the business level, we go for the competitive strategies. And when we talk about organization wide, then that is what we are going to talk in this video. That is the corporate strategies. For the corporate, generally the goals would be either for growth or expansion into a particular direction, maybe strengthening their portfolio, or diversification of their portfolio, or even it might be corporate parenting strategy. So this is a quick recap or a quick plan of whatever we are doing in strategy management course. And so far we have come here by understanding what strategy is, how we do these environmental analysis in order to understand what we have, and what are the hindrances that we may have, or the opportunities and threats that our external environment poses. And we also did learn about the business level as well as competitive strategies. And here we are going to learn about corporate strategies. And once we have learned how these strategies can be formulated, we will next after this we will go and see how we can implement and monitor and control such strategies. All right, so the nature and scope of corporate strategies. As we all know, organizations they go through an inevitable progression from growth through maturity level, and then there might be a revival which is done in order to maintain themselves in the maturity level, or you can say prolong their ultimate eventual decline. And during this organizational life cycle, managements may choose between growth, stability, or retrenchment strategies in order to overcome these deteriorating trends in performance, which will eventually lead to their decline. So, some of the major economic reasons for choosing a particular type of corporate strategy could be exploiting the operational economies and financial economies, avoiding uncertainty, increasing efficiency, the management skills, okay, to create a corporate advantage, long-term profit potential of a business. All these things are some of the major economic reasons why an organization may choose a particular type of corporate strategy. And there is a we can broadly divide them into four basic types of strategy. First is the stability or consolidation strategy, where we are intending to make no change at all to the organization's current activities, we just want it stabilized. The second is growth or expansion strategy, where we are trying to expand the organization's activities into wider areas. Then it could be retrenchment or disinvestment strategies, which try to reduce the organization's level of activities, mm, and focus more on the most profit bearing activities. And we could also have a combination of these three strategies, whichever suits the organization best. So, what is stability strategy? An organization that is following stability strategy, what it does is it tries to maintain its current business and product portfolio. Okay, that is, it is trying to maintain the existing level of effort, and it is actually quite satisfied with incremental growth. So, what it does is it focuses on fine tuning its business operations and improve the functional efficiency through a better deployment of resources. Adapting or adopting a stability strategy, you should not mean it should not mean that the organization is lacking the concern for growth. No, the organization is not shying away from growth, but it just is the indication that growth targets are very modest, and what they mainly wish to do is maintain a status quo. For example, I would say, you can think about NTPC, or ONGC, even Bata. Once upon a time, Bata was a very famous name in shoes, right? Right? Shoes means it's Bata. It is the like the king of shoes. But if you talk about it right now, Batas is still there. They are trying to maintain their status quo. They are not trying to, pull aggressively. They are not pushing for aggressive sales right now. What they are trying to do is they are trying to maintain that status quo. They are trying to maintain themselves in the position, in that stage in the market, without getting outdated or without getting overridden. They want to try to maintain their position. They are trying to, what they are orienting towards is stability. And if it comes with a growth, well and fine, but if it is not that much of a big huge growth, like the growth or the strategy they had while they were like maybe a couple of decades back, their strategy was different, but right now their strategy is more of a stability oriented strategy. A couple of decades back, definitely they had strategies which pushed for growth, because they wanted that market share, they wanted to establish themselves, they wanted to create that particular brand for themselves. But now that they have all those things, they are opting for a stability strategy. So that is the same which goes for NTPC or ONGC, even SAIL, all such, that is Steel Authority of India. All such organizations, they are examples of companies or organizations that opt for this stability strategy. There are a few approaches that companies might follow for these stability strategy. One such is holding strategy, where this best suits the organization which does not have any requisite resource to pursue an increased growth for a longer period of time. So what they are trying to do over here is they are trying to hold, okay, they are trying to hold their current position until there is any change, or until there is a much more better clarity about what the future environment would be. So what it does is it is trying to maintain itself in the present rate of development, okay, which what suits the organization. And as time changes, as time goes by, as situations change, environments change, which prohibit a continuation in growth, then they will go for opt for some other strategy. Until then, they are holding their ground, they are holding their position. Then we have stable growth, which is again an alternative which involves avoiding change. It represents indecision, or a timidity in making a choice for change. Like it, for example, you might think about a small business in a very small town with very few competitors. Then definitely they will be growing slowly but surely, right? So maybe you can think about um, your neighbor who is recently setting up, say, a baking house in your area. If there are not many competitors, definitely, if that person's cakes do taste good, then naturally their customers will grow. They might be able to sell to the nearby shops, and get a name for themselves, and then slowly, steadily expand, right? So that is an example of a stable growth. Then we have a harvesting strategy, wherein the organization has a dominant market share, and what it does is it seeks to take advantage of this position and generate cash for future business expansion. Okay, so this harvesting strategy is mainly for those organizations whose main objective or whose end goal is to generate as much cash as possible. So they don't even mind compromising their market share in order to earn that profit and generate the funds, because they want that fund in order to put it to use in other expansion strategies. And there are a number of ways that can be used to accomplish such objectives of making profits and generating these funds also. Some of these are like selective pricing or reducing cost without reducing price, such things. Then we have the profit strategy, or in other words called as the end game strategy. And this is one such strategy which capitalizes on a situation in which old and obsolete product or technology is being replaced by a new one. Like for example, we told, right, maybe printers, or even let's say cars, all such things. You can think about it like that. Electronic items, even phones for that matter. When the technology is getting old, maybe like now also, like when 5G technology is coming up, there you will find a huge discount in 4G phones, right? But then you people like me and many others who don't have the budget for that 5G phone, which will definitely be priced high, we will definitely try to get a much better 4G phone. Okay, which we always had wanted, and right now we can get it in a much reduced price. But then what happens is that we buy it after a few months, the technology is outdated, it is 5G everywhere, but we are stuck with this phone. We have to maybe then it's aftercare services, the parts, the screen, everything, that itself will create a secondary market for such products which can last for much more years to come. So that is the profit or end game strategy. It is the strategy which companies what you can say employ at the time of end of that particular type of product. Okay, so think about ending. That is the end game strategy. So these are a few approaches to stability strategy. Let's move forward and talk about the growth type of strategies, or the expansion strategies. So expansion strategies, they are designed to allow organizations to maintain a competitive position in a very rapidly growing national or international market. Therefore, to successfully compete in such markets, survive there and flourish, organizations definitely have to pursue an expansion strategy. These expansion strategies actually provide a blueprint for business organizations to achieve their long term growth objectives, and it will allow them to maintain their competitive advantage even in the advanced stages of product and market evolution. Some of the few approaches to expansion strategies that we may take is the Ansof's grid, that is expansion through intensification or expansion through integration. So Ansoff grid actually distinguishes markets and products and services for expansion based on whether the markets we are trying to expand into new markets with existing products, new markets with new products, existing markets with existing products, or existing markets with new products. So um, this grid, Ansof's grid, you must definitely be familiar, especially while you are learning your management, marketing management. If not, so this is the Ansoff grid. So according to Ansoff, if we are trying to enter a new market with an existing product, we should go for market development strategy. If we are entering a new market with a new product, then we should go for a diversification strategy. If you are trying to enter an existing market with an existing product, then you should go for market penetration. If you are going to enter an existing market with a new product, then what you need to do is a product development strategy. So that is the different various strategies where we are hoping for expansion through intensification. Now, through integration could be two types: vertical or horizontal, or combination, right? So, vertical integration is the integration of organizations that are involved in different stages of supply chain, whereas horizontal or combination integration is the acquisition of additional businesses in the same line of business or at the same level in the value chain. So horizontal integration you can think of as a hypothetical example. Let's say Horlicks is integrating with mm, let's integrate Horlicks with Boost, right? Horlicks and Boost combining, or Horlicks and glucose combining, something like that you can think of. So that is a horizontal integration. Both or like Tang and glucose. You remember Rasna with glucose? Remember? So that is a horizontal integration. Yeah. Vertical integration is with integrating with organizations involved in different stages. For that, let's think about what is a good example. Mm, you can think of as like people starting franchises, right? Like we have McDonald's franchises, right? So we are becoming a franchisee of or even Domino's. Such how does Domino's come to us? It's because people venture into creating franchisees of Domino's, and that is how Domino's comes to us, right? So that you can think of as an example of vertical integration. So we are not a very big organization. We might be small time people in small villages or small towns, and we are associating ourselves with Domino's. We are opening their franchisee. So Domino's is at which level, and we are at which level. So both have a different value place in the value chain, right? But we are going for a franchisee. Then we can tap into Domino's existing popularity and customer base and cater to them and thereby make a profit for ourselves, right? So that is vertical integration. Small request from you all: if you have stuck with me so far, and if you like the way how our classes are going, and if you haven't yet done, consider subscribing, because it will help me a lot in reaching more people like you and helping them out. And that is all I ask in return for these videos and notes, right? So if it is okay with you, if you don't mind, consider subscribing and hitting the notification icon. Do share about us with your friend circle as well, and help us get more traction. It will definitely help me in helping you better. Let's look at diversification, which is the next type of corporate level strategy. Diversification involves moving into new lines of business. Okay, and diversification strategies also apply to the more general case of spreading market risks. Adding products to existing lines of business can also be viewed as analogous to an investor who invests in multiple stocks to spread the risks. Diversification into other lines of businesses can especially make sense when organization faces uncertain conditions in its core product market domain. So consider this. Once you start earning money, you will be investing that money in a lot of different places, right? You might put some amount as FD, some amount you might invest in an LIC policy, some amount you might even invest in share markets, or unit linked funds, or what you can say, recurring deposits, or mutual funds. Many options, right? Why are we doing that? Why do we put some amount as NFT, some amount in LIC? What we are trying to do is we are trying to diversify our risks, because we do not know what might happen to us in the future. So if at all something happens, we want our family members to have the least amount of what you can say, the least amount of impact due to that, right? So that is the best example of diversification that we can what you can say, associate with. Think about Reliance. Think about Tata. Tata has Tata Motors, it has Tanishq, it has Titan, it has TCS, it has TCL. Tata Technologies is there. A lot many. It has Vitara is there. It has currently acquired Air India. It has Jaguar. It has Tata Tea. It has Tetley. Lots of products. Why do they do that? Think about Reliance. It has Reliance Fresh. It has Reliance Trends. It has Geo. It has fiber is there. The Reliance Geo fiber connections are there. It has the TV. It is associated with Wink. Lots of products. Why? What is the reason for doing that? It is for diversification, so that even if one of the sectors underperform, that underperformance or that loss can be made up with another sector which performs well. And that is the word meaning also, right? We are diversifying, we are spreading our risks across domains, so that at the end of the day we are not severely hit. Like for example, um, the movie industry, theaters, which was focused on people coming over there, got terribly hit at the time of COVID. Why? Because that entire model was based on that. And when there was a lockdown and people were not allowed to get out of their houses, naturally the theaters had to be shut down, lost a lot of money, right? But for the movies, what happened is that they quickly adapted and they started selling the rights to OTT platforms, and they capitalized on that, right? They adopted this strategy. So, and right now, even after lockdown, post lockdown, right now, movies have diversified much more. We have satellite rights, we have OTT rights, we have theater rights. So they have diversified themselves into much more areas in order to get back that amount which was their budget and get the maximum profit, right? So that is diversification. Some of the approaches to diversification are mainly two, that is related diversification and unrelated diversification. So, related diversification, you might have guessed, in this alternative, the organization expands into related industries. That is, one having a synergy with the organization's existing lines of business. And therefore, it creates a situation in which these existing and new lines of business share and gain special advantage from commonalities such as technology, customers, distribution, location, products, or manufacturing, similarities as well as government access. Then we have the unrelated diversification, which is a growth strategy wherein the organization seeks to grow by adding entirely unrelated products and markets to its existing business. And in conglomerate diversification, also, the organization generally introduces such new products using different technologies in new markets. So, if you would have remembered earlier, while we were talking about strategic management, I had told you about how Anchor, which is a very well known name in the what you can say, the electrical equipment category, especially wires, switches, and stuff like that, tried to expand or diversify into the the fast moving FMCG market through a fruit beer. But that diversification actually backfired because of their understanding, their assumptions, and perceptions, which was opposed to what actually people, uh, how actually people reacted. So, that is an example of diversification into unrelated areas. And um, what you can say, diversification in related areas, maybe like L'Oreal starting a conditioner line which can complement their shampoo line, or another skincare line for targeted for, let's say, anti-aging, along with their pimple reduction. Things like that are related diversifications. I hope you understood the point. Now, some of the reasons why companies or organizations may opt for diversification is: one, economies of scale and scope, widening of the market base, enhancing the market power, profit stability, improving the financial performance, growth, counter competitive trends, access to latest technology, and regulatory factors. Now, what are some of the alternative routes to diversification? We could go for mergers or acquisitions. So, a merger is a legal transaction in which two or more organizations will combine, that is, merge its operations through an exchange of stock. Acquisition is a purchase of one organization by another. You might have heard, right? Mindtree was acquired by L&T and it has now become LTI Mindtree. That is an acquisition. Or Elon Musk acquired Twitter, right? Strategic partner, whereas in the case of Maruti Suzuki, it is a merger. Strategic partnering is two or more organizations establishing a relationship that combines their resources and capabilities and core competencies to achieve some business objective. Joint venturing, two or more organizations forming a separate independent organization for strategic purpose. We can have long-term contracts wherein two or more organizations will enter into a legal contract for a specific business purpose. Or we can also opt for strategic alliances where two or more organizations will share resources, capabilities, or distinctive competencies to pursue some business purpose. So those were some of the alternatives for diversification. Then the other strategy is the retrenchment strategy. So what is retrenchment? It is a short run renewal strategy which is designed to overcome the organization's weakness that is contributing to the deteriorating performance. So retrenchment strategy, as you might have guessed by now, is something that the companies take up especially while they are at the initial stages of decline, and it is meant to replenish and revitalize these organizations resources as well as capabilities so that the organization can regain its competitiveness. These retrenchment strategy alternatives include shrinking selectively, that is, you are shrinking. You're not entirely completely shrinking mindlessly, but you're selectively trying to eliminate product lines or products from your portfolio and focusing more on products that give you the maximum revenue or with the least cost, like that. Extracting cash for investment in other businesses and as well as disinvestment. These strategies actually result in generating cash, but they differ in terms of investment. Like, why do you selectively shrink, or why do you disinvest, or why do you invest in other businesses? The reason for these various retrenchment strategies will be different, but ultimately all these strategies will are aimed at maximizing your cash flow and generating that cash. So we could go for a turnaround strategy where an organization could encounter multiple years of declining financial performance. And so what they do is they turn around, completely restructure themselves and go for a better direction. We could also opt for survival strategy where the organization is on the verge of extinct and it can either go for disinvestment or a spin-off or restructuring the business operations in order to revitalize themselves. Or you can go for liquidation, which is actually the final resort for any declining organization. It is the ultimate stage wherein you are liquidating your assets and getting as much cash out of it as possible, out of your assets, and paying off your liabilities. So as we have arrived at the end of this video, I hope you are comfortable with the concepts of corporate strategy. You are familiar with these various corporate strategies like stability, growth, diversification, disinvestments, retrenchment, turnaround, and such. If you have, do let me know by giving a thumbs up. If you have not, and if you have doubts, let me know in the comment section, and I will try my best to resolve your doubts. And so that is so with this video we have seen the major types of how the major ways in which we can formulate various business strategies, right? um, and moving forward from the next video onwards, we will try to see the various ways in which we can implement and control such strategies. So hope to see you in the next class. Bye bye. Thank you.